located adjacent to the Walk Pedestrian Boulevard, which is a new boulevard which we'll show you the route of shortly, and include a new community cafe has been mentioned. And as we mentioned, we're working with the trustees of St Mark's Community Centre, St Mark's Church, to create an accessible and inclusive place for local people to use. So looking at an aerial photograph here of North Colchester, got the A12 running across the top here, to Ipswich at the top, down to Chelmsford at the bottom, A120 over the side. Colchester United FC football ground is here. Severals Business Park there. In between the two, we have the site of the Colchester Northern Gateway development, in which the new community centre is positioned. Zooming in, this is the area of the overall development. Previously the rugby ground. Our site for the community centre is here. This slide was showing a illustrative landscape plan by the landscape architects for the wider site. So Mill Road is on the right, Via Urbis Romane on the left, and our site is here. The boulevard that was mentioned is shown on this yellow line. This will be a new significant east-west route between existing housing to the west, with new housing centrally to the site, linking these with leisure, work and transport amenities on the eastern side. So this is a new pedestrian route which runs right past the site for our community centre. So we're zooming in here. In the centre of the screen, you can see the existing rugby club building, and as it was positioned next to the rugby pitches with some footpaths between, and an existing car park to one side. To the rear, there's quite a large screening area of trees with existing housing behind. And looking from ground level, this was the previous site layout with the rugby club next to what was the pitches. Moving to a more recent photograph, you can see here the new Pedestrian Boulevard is now nearing completion, adjacent to the existing building. Looking at surveyor's drawing, so this rectangle here is the existing building. You can see above the boulevard running past and the car park behind. Overlaying that onto the site plan, the red rectangle shows the existing building footprint. Over to the side is the new village green. So part of the area that is currently rugby pitches will be landscaped into the new village green, whereas the rest will be incorporated into the new housing development. And between the two, in yellow, is the route of the new boulevard. So the orientation of the existing building was, of course, set out in relation to the rugby pitches, what was the centre line of a rugby pitch. That now, having moved on and becoming part of the village green, which is over to one side, the orientation of the original building footprint is no longer appropriate for the use we need. By taking a new build approach, we're able to improve the relationship of this building to its new village green. So we're proposing to change the orientation of the building, so turning the footprint around, which will give us a direct view up and over the village green. The other thing that turning the footprint does is it brings us and opens up a new area for potential new public space. When people are arriving along the boulevard, having the building set back like this means you're you'll approach the village green and the view will open up with the village green to one side, the new community centre to the other side, with a new public meeting space in front. So we're hoping to form an arrival point, so as an event on this route. And so the new public space itself will also have that great view over the village green. When we talk about a meeting space, we found this image for an outdoor restaurant in Oslo, which we were taken with, and we've tried to incorporate this kind of thing into the public space in front of the building, which we'll show you in the detailed plans. So looking at the detailed plans, here's the wider site layout with the boulevard down the middle, our site, and zooming in to a detailed plan of the proposed site layout. So the blue rectangle you can see centrally is the community centre itself, and the blue dashed line coming off to the side is that alignment, that view to the village green. The boulevard running across the top there, and this triangular space would be the new public space, and the structure indicated here would be this outdoor seating area, like the photo we showed earlier. So having this position, the community centre has a relationship to the boulevard, and also its relationship to Mill Road is that it has an existing access and parking area which comes to this side here. So the main entrance to the building is positioned facing the parking, and then a secondary public cafe entrance is positioned facing the new public space. We've tried to make as much use of the site area as we can. The building itself has been designed to be extendable in the future. So we have this rectangle here shows a footprint of a potential phase 2 should the building be need to be extended in future and funding be available. We've used the areas either side of the building that aren't being used for public use for wildlife planting, or here we're showing a swale, which is a low bit of land to take rainwater runoff and give biodiversity benefits in the green space. And we've also shown significant external store down here for use for the community centre and for activities on the village green. Looking inside, the ground floor. So the way this plan is oriented, the lower side of the drawing is the entrance from the public space, and the upper side of the drawing is the entrance from the car parking. So from the public space, you have direct access to the new cafe, coffee shop Chris has mentioned, with a good sized kitchen and servery, 50 seats inside, and opportunities for external seating to this side, and also covered external seating to the shorter side there. In the remainder of the ground floor, we have the main entrance to the community centre with a reception, and the lower hall, which is separated from the cafe by a folding sliding acoustic screen. So these two rooms can operate independently, or they can be opened up for events where both spaces would be used together. In the lower right hand corner, we're showing a changing place. This is a highly accessible toilet, shower and changing facility, so that people of all ages and all abilities have somewhere to be to use should they need it when out at the public building. We have included a wheelchair accessible platform lift, which is also an evacuation lift to aid accessibility in the event of fire, as well as usual everyday use. We've left a corridor here to toilets, which, should the building be extended, that will become the route through to the second part of the building. So taking the stairs to the first floor, which are here, we arrive at the first floor on the centre line of the building, looking through glass doors into the hall, and again through a 4-metre high window overlooking the village green. So we are immediately presented with that connection with the outside and the village green that the building is centered around. And walking through, you come through to the upper hall. It's to seat 120 and has lighting, well, the view to the village green, but also additional lighting provided by another large window overlooking the public square. There's large amounts of storage at front and back for the various activities, and it has its own kitchen with servery for events requiring catering. The upper floor also includes administration space for the running of the building, and significant toilets for the users of the upper hall. The window to the side also acts as a door opening out onto a new balcony overlooking the village green. In terms of sustainability, the building will include a large solar panel array, which we'll show on the elevations. It will be heated and cooled with an air source heat pump, or potentially be linked up to a district heating system being built across the wider development. We'll be using high performance materials throughout, high quality glazing, high levels of insulation, highly airtight construction to minimise energy use. Ecology enhancements will be implemented across the local sites in accordance with ecology officers' requirements. And just that you won't just be taking our word for it, that this is a sustainable building. We will have third-party sustainability assessment by the Building Research Establishment, which is known as a BREEAM assessment, and we'll be achieving as a minimum a BREEAM Very Good rating. Got a short animation here. Oops. Excuse me. There we go. So this is showing the approach to the building coming down the boulevard. The white blocks are showing housing to follow on later, but you can see how the view as you approach opens out to the new public open space, the new village green to the left, and the new building with its public space in front to the right. So here's a view of the centre itself. So you can see the balcony, the large windows to the main hall either side on the upper floor, and the row of opening doors and windows that give great connectivity for the cafe between cafe and its public space next door. Elevated view there. This is a view from the car park. So this is the main entrance here. And here you can see the solar panel array. And to avoid the appearance of solar panels being an unattractive, stuck-on addition to a roof, we've coloured the roof to match those solar panels, to tie the whole thing in visually and give us a very striking appearance. And there's a set of elevations there showing the building from each side. And that brings us to any questions.
Shall I answer this? Hello, everyone. My name's Alison Fogg. I'm a development manager at Colchester Borough Council and for Colchester Amphora Trading. And I was just going to, we've been monitoring all the questions that have been coming through during the presentation, and so we'll just sort of kind of try and cover them off as best we can. Thank you very much for attending and for your interest. So the first question we've got is, would it not have been more cost effective to modify the existing building? And I think there's quite a few of us here on the call that have been involved in these decisions and discussions for a very long time. And I don't know if Councillor Oxford, you want to input on this, because obviously we did look extensively at what could be done with the existing building. But it is a very old building and it's in really poor state of repair, and it would have actually been really, really expensive to fix. And it wouldn't have been very sustainable from an environmental perspective either.
I'm afraid while you were doing that, I suddenly got thrown out.
Ah.
I just had to get myself back in again. So and I can't see what any of the questions are.
Okay, so that was a question about why we didn't retain the existing building, and why we're doing a new build in terms of cost effectiveness. And I was sort of explaining that we had sort of looked at this in a lot of depth, because nobody wants to just knock a building down. But in terms of cost effective, in terms of cost effectiveness, it's best to actually build a new building, which can be much more sustainable in the long term. So that's at the end of the day what we decided to go for, and the trustees of the building, who will be looking after it, also needed to select.
Yeah, we consulted. We were actually going to do a retrofit of the building, but the building was just so outdated, so old, that actually that wouldn't have been possible, and it would have been way too expensive. So we left it to the trustees and the church. What do you want to do? And they decided to go for a new build, and we supported them in that.
Well, hopefully that sort of answers that one. The next question we've got is, how many seats are in the ground floor hall? And Kevin, you've got the presentation and the plans. Are you able to respond?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's 45. As we're showing down there.
And then the next question, which I guess relates to that, is could either or both halls be used as dance studios? And Kevin, sorry, do you want to?
Yeah, nothing to stop that. It's one of the size of the lower hall in particular. I could see that as a exercise class and dance class kind of space, absolutely. But if there are larger classes, then the upper hall would do.
That's great. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that from the?
From a trustee's perspective, I don't know if people caught it because we lost a bit of the intro, but we really want to have bookable spaces that people and groups can use. And so a dance group, that would be perfect. That's exactly what we want to open this space up for. If there's groups in the area that want a space to be able to dance, we'd love to be able to provide that space at a reasonable price.
That's great. So thank you, Chris. So rattling through these, when's it due to be completed? We, following the consultation and sort of taking on board everybody's comments and feedback, we'll be then putting in a planning application, and after that going out to tender for a contractor. We would hope to get on site early next year and look to complete sort of probably about a year after that. So probably early 2023. In terms of uses plan for the building, again, Chris, do you want to have a jump in with a response for that?
Yes, that'd be great. So, as I said a moment ago, we would love to have lots of bookable space. Those halls, we've tried to make them as flexible as possible, a small hall and a large hall, just so that groups in the local area have got space to meet. But the same, for a birthday party or something like that, we'd love to make those spaces available. And then we've got the coffee shop open, hopefully many days of the week, so that people can come, congregate, even when there isn't something going on in one of the halls, and be able to come and grab a coffee and look out over that beautiful green space.
Brilliant. And the next one, I'm just going down the list here. Is there a lift to the first floor? Absolutely. We're being, sort of really careful to make sure the building is really, really accessible for everybody. So we've taken a lot of sort of accessibility issues into account, and we will continue to do so as we work the designs up. In terms of who will be managing the building once complete, Chris, do you want to cover this one?
Yes, so we've got a team of trustees. We're all local people and we all think community space is really important. We're everything from church leaders to engineers to school teachers, and we all live in the Highwoods and Myland area, and are intending to run this as best we can to bless our local community.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. And we've got we've had a couple of questions about activities on the village green. Obviously, that's the lovely new space just across from the community centre. Actually, none of the team working on the community centre are involved with the village green, but if you do have any queries about that, I'll put my email address is on the presentation, and I'll put it in the chat bar as well. So you can always contact me, and I can put you in touch with the right people. So I think that is all the questions that we've actually been able to cover. We're aware that quite a few people weren't able to actually connect with the call when we first started, sort of connectivity issues in these difficult times of doing everything online, and we're sort of really acknowledge that it's much easier to do these things in person, but this is sort of how it's working out at the moment. So maybe Councillor Oxford and Chris, who did their sort of introductions at the beginning, they'll run through those again for people who weren't able to hear, because I think it is important, and we all do that, sort of everybody kind of hears the background and sort of information about what's happening. So, Councillor Oxford, do you want to start?
Do you want me to do my bit again?
Yes, please.
Okay, radio. Good evening and welcome. It is so nice and quite a relief to have got this far. The current building was due for demolition. As ward councillors, we had a better use for it, and I'm so pleased the church had the same vision as we did. A new community centre, and what a fantastic building it will be compared to what is there now. It took 7 years for us to get this far, but well worth all the meetings, and I'm so grateful to the church for their support and sticking with us. Also, the new administration for honouring the £3 million towards the building. Once again, I would like to thank everyone who has been involved in making this vision a reality, which will serve the community for years to come. I'm so looking forward to walking through the doors and breathing a sigh of relief. Job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oxford. Well, I'm really pleased to be representing the trustees for this new building. We're a group of local people who think that community space is essential for people to thrive. And that's why we've been working with the council so that we can create and run a welcoming space for our community. As trustees, our hope is that this new building will be a place to meet, a place for well-being, and a place to have fun. We're going to have plenty of bookable space that people and groups can afford to use. And we want to offer a decent coffee shop as well, somewhere that you can meet friends or come along on your own, somewhere you can relax with a drink in your hand and look out on the village green. And our big hope is to be able to hit all of these goals while having the lowest possible impact on our precious environment. And so I hope you've enjoyed Kevin's presentation tonight. Our architects are working hard to realise these dreams for us, and we have thanks to Kevin and Roger who've presented for us tonight the vision for that new community space.
So as you've probably seen in the chat, we've put in a link to an online survey. So if there's anybody you know that would be interested in what's happening and they weren't able to attend tonight, then do forward that on. And obviously it's really when they'll be able to also view the recording of the presentation as well on our website. But also if you can fill in the survey yourselves as well. It's been brilliant to have all your questions this evening, but you can give your further thoughts and write down what you think on the survey. That's really, really helpful in terms of sort of how we move things forward.